I love the smiles. Am I on? Can you hear me? First, I'm taking back everything nice that I said about Larry. Because about an hour ago, he said to me, I want you to do 7 minutes at the end of this thing. And I said, are you kidding me? I have, and also apologies to Joel, who started this, because I have all the bells and whistles in my presentations. You know, I always start with video, and I always have things happening. I'll tell you about a couple of them. This is like the fellow said yesterday, being up here naked. But it's fun, and it's a pleasure because I've gotten so much out of this in the contacts and the knowledge that I've gotten this week. I'll tell you one thing, I'm going to be Twittering now. I have a 20-year-old who doesn't Twitter. She certainly IMs and emails like crazy, but I told her last night, I said, one thing this conference has convinced me is that Twittering is the thing I ought to be doing, so I'm back to that. I'm to that. I want to talk to you about three things, and really quick in the 7 minutes that we've got. I want to talk to you about accomplishing the impossible. Okay, during Hands Across America, I coined the phrase, it's easier to accomplish the impossible than the ordinary. So we'll talk for a second or two about that. I want to talk to you about the magic of threes. A couple of the speakers yesterday said, I read your book and I used the magic of threes for the last 20 or 30 years. And then I heard Chester Elton up there, and in fact, just a minute ago, people talking about three things. Well, there's a tremendous magic to threes. I won't be able to give you the full idea, but I'm going to be giving it away on my website. That's another thing I learned here, quite frankly. Give your best ideas away. I'm going to give it away on the website. We're redoing the website right now. And the third thing is a Thornton Wilder quote, which certainly has been true of most of the impossible kind of things that I've had to try and accomplish. And the Wilder quote is that every great thing balances at all times on the razor edge of disaster. Okay? Everything I've ever worked on that was huge, that was exciting, that was really important, that turned out great, was at some point on that razor edge. And I'd like to just talk to you about getting through that particular time and moment. So those are the three things, basically. Starting with, why is it easier to accomplish the impossible than the ordinary? Well, the simple reason is that you can't sell anything to anybody if you don't get their attention, okay? And the easiest way to get their attention is to do something that they start talking about. And believe me, if you say, well, I'm going to put 28 of or in this case, 45, I started with 28, but 45 of the biggest artists in the world together in the same studio to record a song. And this is 1984, late 1984, 1985, when that's never been done. People say it's impossible. You're not going to get those egos. I mean, Quincy Jones's line, check your egos at the door. You're just not going to get that to happen. And yet we did. And we did it because there was a magic to that idea. There was something that got people's attention, the artist's attention, because my gosh, I'm going to get to go and be with the other artists. We've never done anything like that. We've never put those. And it worked because it was unique and it was special. Hands Across America, I mean, there's nothing more impossible than that. Just fly across the country, look out the window, and I've even met people here who were not in this country at that time, didn't even know this happened. Look out the window and imagine that 5 to 7 million people stood holding hands from New York's Battery Park to the Queen Mary in Long Beach here in Los Angeles. How many people? Was there anybody here that was in the Hands Across America line? I almost always find somebody. Nobody here? It was pretty amazing. There were 5 million people in the actual line, 7 million people overall, because, there was one kid in Minnesota. He formed a line across Minnesota. He was an 11-year-old kid. Decided we don't go through Minnesota. He was going to do it there. People in Hawaii, people in Europe. Why did they do it? They did it because it had, and this is the thing I want to convince you, it had a wow factor. Remember yesterday, that was another thing that Chester Elton did. He said, three things, it stands for W for wow. There was a wow factor to it. And sure, it seemed impossible. But once we showed that we really meant it, and once we got $5 million from Coca-Cola to get behind it, and McDonald's to put it on its placemats, and the Super Bowl to put it in ads for us, people started saying, oh my God, maybe they really are going to pull this off. And they got into it. And people wanted to be part of it. And it had that sense of community. We've talked a lot in the last 3 days about the sense of community. It had that. There's a tremendous need with all of the texting and emailing and the way we communicate nowadays for people to just get out and hold people's hands. Community-based projects do work, and I want to see that you continue to be involved in those kinds of things. They work because you're able to get people's attention. But to get anybody's attention, you've got to do certain things. You've got to have things that are unique, you know? They've got to be based on some real substance. There's got to be substance to it. The things I've done that have been successful, impossible as they may have seemed, have had substance to them. And then they've got to be unexpected. And I told you in my lectures, when I say unexpected, the marching band, usually the UCLA marching band, will come in one door playing like crazy, go right through the room and out the other door. You know? And I do a lot of stunts like that because you know, as speakers, and there's some of the top speakers here, you know you can't sell them the ideas unless you get their attention. When the band's gone, I say, hey, now I've got your attention. You better pay attention because things like that are going to happen all the time, and they do, constantly throughout the whole thing. So you've got to do things that are based on that. Now, I said the magic of threes. The thing that I really want to get across, there's been a lot of talk here about, oh, gee, you got to get on Larry King, or you got to get on Oprah, you got to get on... Alone, none of those things will get people's attention. We're in a society now where there are so many things impinging on us that one thing by itself is not going to work. There is a magic to threes. 3 strikes and you're out. You know, the Holy Trinity. Okay, 3 beats to a joke. 3 is a very important figure in music. The bridge always comes after the 3rd chorus. You keep seeing the magic of threes everywhere. It takes... This is the key, and I don't have time in this short period to illustrate it to you, but you'll have it on my website. The key is that you have got to build around that one core thing. I don't care what it is, or find it or manufacture it, but speed things up now so they happen at the same time as that core thing that's happening later, or slow things down that were going to happen now so that they come there. Speed things up that are going to happen after that so that they come. Put things in a very, very concentrated period of time. I'll give you the best quick example of magic of threes. Lionel Richie on the 1984 Olympics. Okay? Lionel Richie's on the Olympics. 4 billion people saw Lionel Richie on the Olympics. Did not advance his career. Singing all night long. Didn't advance his career. Not at all. No record. No other articles, nothing else around it. Biggest event you could imagine, nothing else around it. 6 months later, Lionel Richie hosts the American Music Awards. He's on the cover of TV Guide. He wins 6 American Music Awards. That night we record We Are the World. Within the next month, he's on the Grammys and wins 3 Grammys. In that 1 month period, Lionel Richie's career went from here to there. Okay? Not as many people, not even a fraction of as many people saw Lionel Richie in that period of time. But the events were telescoped down into a tight period of time. There were things around it. So as much as you hear at this 3 days about how you can reach people through Twitter and you can reach people through this particular social media device and you can reach people this way, alone they don't work. They only work in combination. That's why I get so frustrated with companies and ad agencies that tell you, oh, well, that particular piece of the puzzle doesn't work. It doesn't really generate. It takes multiple pieces to put that together and to get somebody's attention. And bottom line, you can't sell anybody anything unless you get their attention. Okay? Last thing. Okay? Every great thing balances on the razor edge of disaster. We Are the World, night before, American Music Awards rehearsal, because I had designed the recording session to be after the American Music Awards because all the artists would be in town. It was an easy way to get artists here. I'm standing backstage at rehearsal. Cyndi Lauper's husband, then going to be husband, he was their manager at the time, comes up to me and he says, listen, Ken, the rockers don't like the song and they won't stand on the stage next to the non-rockers. Lionel Richie coined a phrase years ago that was, you are who you hug. And the rockers didn't want to hug the non-rockers because somehow they were going to be uncool. It was going to rub off on them. Right? What could I do? It's the night before. I can't do anything. I said to him, look, if you guys are going to leave, we're recording tomorrow. Saul, go. I can't do anything. They go to Springsteen, biggest rocker of all. Certainly that was his hottest period of all time. Springsteen, bless his heart, says, hey, I came out here to save lives. I came out here to feed people. I didn't come out here to walk out. I'm not going anywhere. Well, they all wanted to hug Bruce Springsteen. In my presentation, I've got 20 pictures of people hugging Bruce Springsteen. They all wanted to. They all wanted to stand on the stage next to Bruce, and they would have looked pretty stupid if they walked out, right? So they didn't. I didn't throw in the towel because the rockers said they wouldn't be there. I went ahead. I did it. I hung in there. Hands Across America, we're a month away. No insurance. The actuaries tell us that for every 200,000 people we have in line, we're going to have one death. Complete bullshit, but I mean, that's what they told us. Okay? I don't have insurance. I got a board of directors, which I mistakenly make up of all these big stars, Michael Jackson, Lionel Richie, Harry Belafonte, they're all worried about their own butts and how if they get sued, what's going to happen. And they're telling me, you got 1 week to get insurance. I go out and I find the last insurance company in the world that will give it to us. It's cost us $3 million for that insurance. It's crazy, but we got it and we pulled it together. But I was down to that last second where it would, okay? The point being, there are many, many moments that you can throw in the towel. Harvey McKay talked yesterday about you got to be willing to fail. You got to take the risk if you really want to accomplish something. There is that moment when you think, okay, God, this is just not going to work. If you believe in it, you see it through. You find a way. There is always a solution. There is always a solution. And you just hang in there and you make it happen. So think big. Don't let it scare you. I'll even give you one last thing. And it comes from, I always say, the reason Larry Benet gets us all together is he's just been naive enough not to realize you can't do it. Okay? Hang in there. Do it. Don't lose that childhood enthusiasm or naivete. Make the big things happen. Think big, and you'll be very, very successful. Thank you. It's been a great time.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ken Kragen. You're awesome. That was great, baby.